Hi everyone, Joy and Jason is back. We haven't actually done this for a couple of weeks, so we're excited to bring you a brand new episode. And today we're going to talk about equipment. What do you need it, and how much will it cost you to start a business? Hello Jason, how are you doing?
Good, Joy. How are you?
I am good, thank you. There is a reason why Jason has that green screen behind him, because this is what this episode is going to be about. All right, so Jace, let's dive into this. Can you tell people a little bit, can we start up with minimum cost? As an entrepreneur, how much did it cost you to start up?
Yeah, so if you're going the online entrepreneur route, there's some basic needs that you're going to have. But it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. So the first thing that you're going to need is a computer. And I don't recommend, although I guess you could start in the very beginning with your smartphone, I really recommend that you either get a laptop and or a desktop to work from. Laptops are nice because you can bring them wherever you want, obviously, and work from wherever you are. But sometimes people just have a desktop around and that's how they're getting going. So that's absolutely fine. So let's talk more about, once we have that in place, just some of the critical and functional components of the computer and or laptop that you really want to have in place. So let's talk about your RAM. Your RAM is your random access memory. And so this is important because this is where the computer is storing information as you're going between screens and downloading here, and you have 55 different tabs opened. So the more RAM that you have, the more your computer can essentially do all at once and keep things up to speed and keep things going. So I would recommend that you have at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. And that's a great starting point. And with the 4 gigs, that'll allow you to have multiple tabs open while you're doing some sort of a meeting like this. At the same time, you'll be able to share your screen and you'll be able to search while you're doing all these things at the same time with relative ease and fluidity. So 4 gigs, I definitely recommend you start there. And the nice thing about RAM is it's easy to add to it.
Yep.
And it's relatively inexpensive. So you can buy RAM sticks really cheap, and they usually come in either 2, 4, 8, or 16 gigabyte sizes. It just depends on the motherboard on your computer, what type you need to buy, and how fast it sticks in. But for desktops, you could probably put a new stick of RAM in and upgrade in about 8 minutes. For a laptop, it gets a little bit more confusing, but it's not that bad. But so 4 gigs. So let's start there with your RAM. Your video card. So your video card is really going to help with how good your videos are coming across. And if somebody's sending you video, and it's an HD or something like this, it's nice to have a video card that has that type of output. And so I will tell you this, all the newer computers and laptops that you're going to buy today will have the minimum video card requirements that you're looking for, as long as you're not also gaming on this computer at the same time, which requires just tons of GPU. You're going to be good. Now, if you have an older computer or laptop, whatever's in there, if you can see your screen, you're probably going to be okay. But as time moves on, you might want to upgrade to a better video card. And you'll know you have to do that when you go into any type of program and it says, can't run this, you need a better video card. But you're really not going to run into that too much. So I don't want to spend too much time on like gamer video cards that you might need that have dual purpose. You know what I mean? So that's video card. Next big, huge, important thing is going to be your camera. A lot of times, a lot of laptops come with a camera these days, which is absolutely fine. And you can also buy a webcam or whatever if you don't have one on your laptop or your PC monitor doesn't have one. But what you really want to make sure, at least the one thing that your camera has, is you want to make sure that it's 30 frames per second minimum.
What does that mean?
It means when I'm talking to you, Joy, it doesn't look like an old Chinese movie where they say something and then that kind of thing happens and the sound comes out later. So you'll be able to, the computer will be able to process as close as to real time as possible on what's going on and outputting it to the other end. So 30 frames per second is ideally where you want to be minimum. If you can get up to like 60, 62, that's outstanding. It's not necessary all the time. You'll be just fine with 30. But, you know, as you're doing presentations and little things like this, and you want to seem more credible, you want to look more professional, especially if you're speaking to someone on the other end about a possible collaboration, or you're selling your product or whatever it is, the more professional you look, the better. And sometimes that's just a simple upgrade and a spend of $25 or $30 to go from a camera that's 15 to one that's 30 frames per second, and an additional 30 or whatever to one that can go up to 60. So highly important, definitely something to think about when you go computer shopping or you're looking at the one that you have. Also, now we want to talk about memory. Now, memory is different from RAM. So RAM is the random access memory, the memory that your computer is using to run all the products and windows that you have open, where your memory is where you're going to store your files and folders and all these types of things. You're probably more familiar with memory from this standpoint than you are with RAM. And so you want to have, in my opinion, you want to have at least 125 gigabytes of RAM on your computer, minimum. And memory is still another thing that's relatively cheap these days, especially on Amazon and stuff like this. You can upgrade your memory, and you know, if you're buying, or you know, if you're buying a computer or a laptop, it's really nice to have like a terabyte of memory, because as you start getting busier and busier and taking on more projects, and you want to save these things, and even backing up your hard drive, you can suck up a lot of memory real quick. It's nice to have, you know, Google Drive on the side and these internet based memory banks that you can access. But it's also really nice to have, and you should have a decent size. So if you can start with 125, start there. But if you really can, go the 500 gigabyte. And that'll just be, you just won't have to worry at that point, which is nice. So that
also,
is,
you know, investing in one of these little babies is good. I mean, this is a terabyte. It's so tiny. Look at it. It's so tiny. I think I paid $300 or $400 for it, for a whole terabyte. And I mean, you can take this everywhere with you. So if it's not in your budget to buy a computer that has a whole terabyte, there you go, that has a whole terabyte of things on it, I mean, you can always just use one of these. As long as you're very gentle with it and you don't bust it around and shake it around, then, you know, your information is safe on it. So.
Absolutely. And so this is called an external hard drive. And the reason why it's called that is because it sits outside of your computer, and it simply attaches to your computer with a USB cord. Now, the thing that you have to remember about these is these are memory only. You cannot operate a program from these. So you can't download like a video editor and put it on your external hard drive and run it as if you would on the one that's it. You can, but it takes up so much of your computer that you don't ever do that. These strictly for file storage, and like Joy says, you can get them real cheap these days. I mean, you can pick up a cheaper 1 terabyte probably for around $100.
Oh wow!
Well,
I get that's US prices, but in New Zealand,
right. I forget.
It's not technology stuff in New Zealand is a lot more expensive than in the US, definitely.
Yeah,
okay.
I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, I know, right? You don't have to feel sad for us that we always have to pick up all these things so expensive.
I feel terrible. But you know, if you can't get a hold of one of those right in the beginning, don't worry about it, because services like I mentioned before, like Google Drive, you can get, I think it's like 100 gigs for $2.99 a month. they give I forgot how much they give you for free,
Well,
but they
well,
uh,
not $2.90. Well, like $2.99. Yeah, you get, because
yeah,
I've got I pay extra for Google storage, and it is literally $2.99, and it's like I think it's it's an extra 30 gigs, but it comes with 100 gigs. Anyway, the $2.99 that I've got, trust me, it's not running out. So, and I'm running videos, and I do a lot of video type stuff. So imagine if you don't do that yet, it will take you forever to get that capped. It really does.
yeah. And anytime you can back up your computer or your laptop or whatever it is,
Always.
the safer you feel, because
Yeah.
that shit, anything could happen with electronics, and that your shit could be gone. And
Yes.
there is nothing worse than that
Oh,
feeling.
yes. Oh,
Um,
yes.
so if you don't have it outside of your hard drive in your computer,
Yeah.
I would look into trying to get that, or update at least your Google Drive for the
Yeah.
$2.99 a month to have that kind of storage. You'll be
Yeah.
thankful for it.
Even just like your photos, even if you just back up your personal photo, like, again, I know this is a bit off topic, but I have a friend that lost all her photos on her phone, like over 6,000 photos, because her phone crashed. So, I mean, and automatically, I know like Apple, for example, you have that automatically, but with Google, not necessarily. So you have to set it up if you have an Android phone. So if you just go, make sure that you back up these things on the cloud anyway, it will definitely help you. And I mean, it goes saying with, like, obviously on your computer as well, but your phone, it's so easy to back up files on your phone, because a lot of the times I actually just take videos on my phone. And that was the next thing that I was gonna, Jason was talking about having a good webcam, which is great to talk to people, but you can use your phone too. I do a lot of video recording just using my phone. 3/4 of my videos on actually all my videos that I do on YouTube that I'm not sharing my screen is from my phone. Phones these days are really amazing in giving you good things. So if you do not have a webcam, or you don't have money to have a webcam, and you've got a phone with a half decent camera, I mean, it comes. So, I mean, all the phones in the last year at least have really good cameras. So
100%. And I
you
wasn't
can
even
do,
thinking. I
yeah,
know you do a lot of stuff on your phone,
yeah,
more than I do, and the phone, the
mm,
camera in my phone, I have a decent phone. It's probably way better than the one that I have sitting on top of my monitor. I just
yeah.
I just don't use it as much. I don't know. I guess everyone's different like that.
That's the thing,
Uh,
yeah. Also, just to dive into, so what Jason was saying with the laptop, we don't want to talk price on here, because I mean, it depends on the country that you're in. Okay, so you need to go and find your best option, if Amazon is an option where you are in your country or whatever else. But also, if you don't have money for a laptop, desktops is a lot cheaper in general than a laptop. So yes, you obviously don't have the portability of it. You can't go and sit in a coffee shop and work or wherever else. But if you don't have the money and you're just starting out, you can get a desktop for 1/4 of the price than you would pay for a laptop. So that's another option for you. If you don't have $1,000 or even $500 or $600 for a laptop, you can get it for like $200-300 for a desktop, which is the same concept. You can have your RAM that Jason talked about. You can have your memory. You can have all of those things for a fraction of the price. So that's another option for you. It's just obviously, well, laptops is better, especially if you go out, then you're going to start seeing clients and things like that. But if that's not an option for you yet, it's a great starting point if you don't have the budget.
yeah, 100%. And if desktop is where you start, that could be one of your main business goals.
Yeah.
Monetarily wise, as you move towards you move towards getting the laptop.
Yes, exactly. I've had quite a few conversations lately with people where they're so fixated on the technology, they're not fixated on, or if that's the right word to use, on the actual starting a business. So guys, I just want to explain this to you so you understand. Your technology is going to help you to make money, but that's not the sole reason you're going to make money. Your time and effort that you put in every single day, that is going to make you money. So if you buy a $2,000 laptop and you buy a $600 mic and whatever else, you're going to spend like $5,000 on equipment and you're not making money. That's your own fault. So I just want to make sure that, people understand it, because the other day I saw a post where someone was saying, I've got $1,500 for a mic. What can I get for that? You don't need to pay $1,500 for a microphone. That's crazy. You can get like a really good Jet R1, which by the way, I'm ordering, for $100. And that's it. Why worry about the content? This here, my phone, on here, I have an app. So sorry, Jason, I'm going on content, but I was assuming that microphones was our next thing that we were talking about. And on here, and if you guys are on screen, you can, if you're going to look at this on YouTube, you're going to see this. I'm just going to see if I can pull this system up, or this app that I've got. So I have an app called Voice Record. So if you can see the little button there, if you can see, it says Voice Record there. And on that is how I record my podcast episodes. That actually sounds better than my microphone. I know I don't have the best microphone yet. I've been slow in investing in that, because for me, it was more about the content. I am not fixated on the technology, but more on the content. But this is the thing. And my podcast episodes, that's how I record it. And that app actually transcribes it for you. And I think I pay like $3 a month for it, which is nothing. It transcribes it for you. You upload it. You can change the speed. You can add in audio. You can do everything with it. It's literally like a editing software tool for voiceover things as well. So it's amazing. So, I mean, for apps like that, that's an iPhone app. I don't know if it's on Android though, but I mean, that is how simple these things can be. You don't even, if you want to start a podcast, all you need is your phone. You can do everything on it. You don't even need a computer. You don't need a microphone. So videos, if you're not going to share your screen, just use your phone. You can do everything from your phone. If you're going to build software for people or build funnels or do those type of things, yes, you're going to need a laptop. But I mean, if you're just starting out and you just want to make noise, I call it noise, do marketing and advertise yourself and do, your attractive characters, so people get to know you. All you need is a phone. But then it gets into the details. And Jason had some really, really valid points, as far as the RAM and the monitor and those things go. What's your point? What's your thing on the mic? Because Jazz, I know you've got a good mic because you've got a friend that recommended that to you that is a very good podcaster. So what's your recommendation?
So I think it's nice to be able to have a mic like this is the one I have here, which by the way, I'm not using at the moment. So when you get one of these guys, so this mic is a good, it's a decent, I'll say, condenser mic. And so this mic with the arm was like, it was less than $100. You know what I mean? But I don't have it in now because it does require an external power source that broke, and I need to order a new one. But like Joy said with the phone, I think it's good to have a microphone because when you start, like, if you start doing things like webinars and things like this, you want to sound, one, as clear as possible, and two, you want to be able to have a microphone that has the capability to diffuse the outside noise and get rid of that for you. So I think it's a good thing to have. Fortunately, for you to get to that point where you can get something decent is not a lot of money. So, it's just another thing you can keep on your list of things we're working towards, but that are not gonna break the bank, but it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, my mic, and I'm on a decent laptop here. I mean, this is like a couple of $1,000 worth of laptop. It's a gaming laptop. So it's a really good laptop, but the sound on it is terrible. Like if I unplug my mic, it sounds like I'm in a tunnel. It's really, really bad. So, and I mean, like I said, this mic was like a $60 mic. So it's not like it's a wow, like most expensive laptop, like mic or a mic, because I didn't want to invest a lot of money in it at the time when I bought it, because I felt like that is not the reason. I wanted to invest in the actual things that I'm doing with it. And in saying that, you just need like a cheapish thing to start out with, just so you can actually get going with your content. And like, maybe I can unplug. Can you guys, well, you won't hear this. I don't know if you can hear the difference, Jason.
Barely.
It's terrible if I unplug it. And this is a decent laptop, So in saying that, it doesn't matter how amazeballs your laptop potentially can be when you buy a new one. The sound output or input, however this works, I'm a tech weenie, it can be shocking when it comes to not having a microphone. And especially if you're going to do, like Jason was saying, if you do webinars and voice sharing your screen meetings or any meetings with a client, when you use your laptop, it's worth the $50 or $60 if you just start out to invest in it. I do need to get another microphone, that's for sure. But that's my next thing in the next couple of days. Okay, so in saying that, Jace, let's talk about the green screen. So you've got that green screen behind you. Can you show us what that is? Because I don't have a green screen, guys. So there you go. Jason has invested in a green screen that I think him and his girlfriend made it. I can't be bothered. Didn't Pam make it for you?
I didn't make that.
Oh.
well, that's nice. I think he crocheted that out on the deck. No. So what this actually green screens are really cool, and I really only started getting into them recently. And what they're really good for is video editing. So if you don't have like a nice place to record, or you're doing something more professional, green screen is where you can manipulate your background. And if you don't know the science behind it, there's a whole science. You can go look that up on your own. But to get, like, for example, this, I bought this as a green screen. It was like, honestly, it was like $25, right?
What you made that one?
And then what it's hanging from is like a clothes rack, like a portable clothes rack where you hang your clothes on. So I just put the clips across the clothes rack. And so if I want to record something with the green screen behind me, I just simply put it behind me when I'm recording, and then I can manipulate all the green screen stuff afterwards.
Can you show us how that looks like?
What?
To actually have the green screen going? Like, is it possible? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but it's a good thing because, guys, I don't have a green screen, and I honestly just I haven't felt like the need, like I need one, because I'm in between offices. So this is my office on the side of the house, and then I've got my actual real office at the back, which me and my husband are splitting at the moment. You see, so you can see there. So that's how it looks like if you have a green screen. So you can do any background and it actually looks good. Like with Zoom, for example, if you do a virtual background with Zoom, it actually looks like it's pixelated, where with a green screen, it doesn't look like that.
The green screen, because so there's a setting, there happens to be a setting on Zoom, where anywhere there's a green screen, I'm in space. So if I was sitting in front of it, and I had this thing wide as the camera angle is here, I'd be on this little starship, whatever it is. And I mean, that's just an example of what a green. The other thing is, I bought this from a green screen place. It's just as easy to go to, say, Target and go into kids' bedding section and get like a green that's used from a Disney movie, like I don't know, what's the guy with the bubble on his head, and then Toy Story, to astronauts and beyond.
Buzz Lightning.
Buzz Lightyear. Thank you. That was terrible. I do have kids and I do pay attention to them. So you can go get a sheet that's like that color, like solid, and it will work just fine. Blues also work. Again, there's a science behind it, and you just have to go check it out. But good to have if you ever want to get there. That's the whole setup is probably $30. It's more learning the science behind it that really takes up your time. So another thing, and I just want to bring this up because it reminded me when Joy was talking before. All these different like programs that you can use to edit photos and to do organization and all these little tricks, and to do podcasting and to upload podcasting and all these little programs that you're going to want to have. Most of them, at least for a decent program, you can get for free, if not real cheap. I mean, Joy, you can speak much better to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was actually going to be my next thing. So to start a podcast, which I would strongly recommend, guys, let's be honest, your first 40 episodes is going to suck donkey balls. Let's be honest, because you're going to learn how to do this. But in saying that, this is the great way for you to publish. And my students know I always go on about publish. Start a podcast, start a blog, whatever it is, but get yourself out there and market. Jason knows I irritate him all the time about publishing. So, and this is a podcast is like the cheapest and the easiest way to start out publishing. If you are scared of videos, then do a podcast. If you're terrible in writing anything, do a podcast. And I mean, with a podcast is, like I said, all you need is your phone to record the episodes on. You don't even need much more than that. And then I used Anchor when I started out. So Anchor is completely free. The nice thing about Anchor is that they distribute your episodes when you reach a certain amount of people. I can't remember how that works. But they distribute your episodes on Apple and Breaker and Spotify and Google Podcasts and whatever else, all the different ones. They do that. I upgraded now. I'm not on Anchor anymore. I am using Simplecast, which there's so many other ones to use. You have Simplecast, you've got Buzzsprout. You've got all these different ones. I like Simplecast simply because you can take snippets of your actual podcast and upload it everywhere. So it makes it easier. But in saying that, you can do it on a normal editing tool as well. But that's just easier for me to have done that. Also, in saying that, I would not recommend to start out with Anchor because I had issues transferring my podcast onto Apple. Onto a paid version. The reason why I would not recommend Anchor, but it's up to you how you want to do this, is because they own your content. So that makes it a bit bad because you can't, because they own it, you've got less control over it because it's free, you see. So that's why I think for Simplecast, I think I've got their middle plan. I think it's $25 a month. Honestly, I can't, $25 or $30 a month, US dollars, that is. And that's what I'm on. And it works for what I'm doing. But when you start out, you can go on a minimum plan, which I think is $10 a month. Okay. And then what you get with that is your actual setup. You get all of your, how many episodes, how many people have listened to it, where are people listening to episodes, is it on is it on Spotify, is it on Google, is it on wherever else, is it on iTunes, etc. So it lists all of those things, so you don't have to wonder. It's like, how many people is listening and what platform are they listening on, etc. And you can also see what episodes get the most listeners, and you can see, okay, this is actually what my audience needs, and you can publish more episodes linked onto that type of thing as well. And that's why I know me and Jason's ones work well, because I've noticed that me and Jason's episodes get a lot of viewers or a lot of listeners, and that's why I know like people appreciate the episodes because we actually educate people a lot on different topics. But in saying that, you don't need to go crazy. If you don't have $10 or $15 a month to start out, then use Anchor. It's just a mission to get it transferred. It took me 3 weeks to actually go back and forth with people to get it transferred. Other people don't have the issues, but I had, and that made me really cross. And I've actually lost my podcast was off of iTunes for a week because of the whole mess, which was really bad for me because I lost a lot of listeners. So I was not a happy customer, and that's why I wouldn't recommend Anchor. But in saying that, other people don't have these issues. But that's how you start a podcast. You don't need to go crazy. Your phone and a free tool. I use Movavi for editing my things. I've recommended this to Jason as well. So sometimes what happens is I'm a tech weenie. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a tech weenie. I don't do technology very well. When sometimes you buy this $100, $200, $300 programs, it's very complicated to use those things. You take forever to edit stuff. Where, like, what was it, Jason? $60? I think it was $60, and that's a once-off fee. That's what you pay for the software. You bought it recently. I bought mine like 2 years ago now, so I can't remember.
Yeah, I think mine was, it was like 65. It's right there.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the once-off fee. You don't pay it again, and you can use that to add your audio to your podcast and all of that stuff. So it's like really one of the most cheapest. And that actually got recommended to me by a previous coach that me and Jason shared like a few years ago, and it's up to date. Seriously, I use it every single video that I edit, my YouTube stuff, everything. That's what I use. And I've recommended the software now to so many people. And also just note, guys, we don't get any affiliation things for sharing any of these, programs that we use. There's no affiliation commissions for us whatsoever. We're not signed up to any of them. It's just purely our experiences and what we use, and that works for us. That's what this is all about. So just to make sure we're not advertising anything because we're not getting paid for it. But yeah, so that's really what I have on the podcasting thing. Jace, so I don't know. Do you want to add anything?
That could be a whole nother something.
Just about. It really can be. So if you guys need more information on that, just drop a comment, and we can definitely dive into the details on that. Like I say, I'm ordering my Jedi mic because I've been looking into getting another mic, but I haven't really made it a priority because this one works. But I think because I'm getting more listeners, it's time to upgrade. So. The Jedi one apparently is really, really good. A lot of people have recommended it. I read a post on a Facebook. There was somebody that asked, this same guy that wanted to buy an expensive mic, and then people was like every other comment was saying the same thing, Jedi, and you can get it on Amazon apparently for like $80. So not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah. So.
And I would be able to make fun of you talking into that big red thing you got there.
Jason has a problem since we started this like forever ago. What was this, Jason? Like, wow, probably a year and 4 or 5 months now.
I've been making fun of you in that thing for a long time.
Yeah, he hates this thing. I love it. I can talk to you. No, I'm just joking. Well, at least I don't look like I'm going to go to space like you are. Where's your suit? Where's your space suit?
Oh, maybe put on the goggles. People know.
Put on the goggles. That's what you do. You go to space. Okay. And the other big thing that we need to just talk about is having an internet connection.
Yes.
That is the biggest thing. Guys, I don't know where you are in the world, because let me just put this out there. When you're in South Africa, and I know this firsthand because I've got family in South Africa, internet is stupid expensive. Stupid expensive. Okay. I don't know why. It's because it's not a as a monopoly, whatever. There's not a lot of competition. So the people that have the internet can make it really expensive. Where here in New Zealand, it's cheap. Where you are, it's relatively cheap. But how does the speed work, Jazz? I know we're on the fastest speed that you can get in New Zealand. I don't know what that is, but I don't know technology. I'm a weenie. So what is your recommendation on the speed to actually just, run proper videos and those type of things?
A lot of it depends on what in the house is using up your bandwidth. Is it just you by yourself? You have a family and everybody's phone is connected to the Wi-Fi,
Yep.
and you're watching movies, and like my house here, there's usually always four of us, and everybody's connected to the internet. And I think that we have 100 megabytes per second here, and that does us well. But when you're just starting out, if you can get at least 15 megabytes per second, that's going to take care, and that's going to cover all the video stuff that you'll be doing like we're doing here right now. It's going to cover your phones. It's going to cover your movie watching. So if you have a family, 15 will get you through. It just depends on the plan. So
Yeah.
cable companies are real good at sucking you in. So you really have to look. I mean, you might have TV, phone, and internet already bundled, and it might just be a quick, another, I don't know, $20 a month to get to that level of internet if you don't have it already.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would try to get to 15 megs is a real good start. If you only have 5, you have like an economy package or something like that.
Right.
You should do okay, but you might have an issue if somebody's watching a movie while you're working. There might be an issue there, and you don't want to run into that.
I would not recommend that if you run Zoom meetings and things like that, because that eats up a lot of stuff, a lot of internet.
Bandwidth.
A lot of bandwidth. Yeah. No, definitely. I agree with that. Like, you know what, like Jason's saying, there's a lot of good packages. Like here in New Zealand, for example, I'm not going to mention the name because I just don't want to advertise people, but, we use one of the bigger, standout and marketplace people, and we pay $200 a month for our internet, and that is including our phone's internet as well. And on top of that, we get Spotify as well on the package. Like, they've really bundled it together. So, and I mean, we've shopped around like here in New Zealand, and that's the best one that we got, considering we got Spotify and we've got our phones, internet on there as well. So it's really not a bad price in comparison to what's out there. So just really shop around. If you're in a position to shop around, really shop around, see what they can offer you as a package, because the package deals are normally the best ones that you can get. That's for sure.
And also, whatever cable company you may have now, your cable provider may have hotspots set up throughout.
That's very true.
Whatever area that you're in, that as long as you have a cable account, you can access those hotspots. And if you're near them, they can be up to 20, 25, megabytes per second. So look into that as well.
That's very, very true. Also, if you don't have internet, if you don't have a connection set up at home, which is probably a more expensive option, but it's very doable. If you can get a really good package for your phone, you can hotspot your phone to your laptop. That's another option. I used to do that a lot when I did meetings. I used to be in sales. I used to take my laptop and hotspot at clients' offices if, I couldn't get set up on their server or whatever else. And that works well. It's not cheap though. You have to have a lot of data for it. So what I used to do when I did that is, the boss that I had at the time paid for it, so it wasn't a big deal. But you would get like boost packages, so you'll get like 100 megs for a day for only like $3, little things like that, so you can do that as well, depending again on your cable company. Like here, we just call it an internet package, not a cable company. It's like all different in America, but yes, but that's the concept really, is that you can do that. So if you're going to do a lot of work on just one day, or maybe plan it out, if you really don't have the budget for it, then to actually set up internet and pay for the internet connection, etc., then work out, say today I'm going to work 9 hours on my business, and then just do that type of package and spend maybe $10 to just get like a gig of data, because that normally how that works is only valid for one day. So you have to finish it within that one day, and then you can do that, and then you save hundreds of dollars potentially for yourself. But then you have to be organized.
If you're not doing webinars or stuff right off the bat, go to McDonald's, sit in there, or a coffee shop. Their internet's free.
Yeah, that's the other option.
If you want to block out your time where,
I'm
doing these things and I need this connection, and you can get away to a coffee shop or McDonald's or something like that where it's free, by all means, you utilize those resources.
So guys, really the big thing here that me and Jason is talking about is this is your setup fees on the things that you need to start a business, okay? You don't need to buy crazy equipment. Don't get fixated on, oh, I need a $3,000 laptop and I need like a $1,000 mic and I need this and I need that. People don't give a crap, honestly. I'm being blunt when I say that, but it's the truth. They care about you as a person and what you can give them and what they need and how you can fix their needs, okay? That's the basics of starting a business. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to invest in the next big best technology thing. I mean, you see me and Jason's technology, we use I don't even have a green screen. I don't care to have a green screen. It doesn't bother me. For Jason, it works because his lighting is not so great in his office. But that's the thing, so, it really depends. It depends on what you do. So in saying that, I think that concludes our episode. Jason, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add. That's an awesome episode. And I know that's, those are questions that people looking to get into this business have those questions, or two, you use that information to say, I could never get this going, and it becomes one of your excuses. So now that myth is expelled.
The procrastination is smacked.
Gone.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. And then I think we will actually do a whole new episode eventually just on podcasting setups and all of that stuff, because I think there's a lot more to it than just what we've mentioned, definitely. Sure. Especially and then what we'll maybe do is we'll even do a screen share and talk more about it like that as well. Cool. Programs and whatever else. Awesomeness. Thank you, Jace. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.